The last time we were on, I asked you about taking down all the Legion of Boom pictures in the Super Bowl win in the VMAC. Who knew that Mike McDonald knew we were going to go and win a Super Bowl and put up new pictures within the same year?
Amazing, huh? Amazing.
Yeah. How nice would that be? Shut up the media that we're all talking about taking the pictures down by releasing just a walk down that corridor with the new pictures up. It'd just be a great way to clap back.
There's so many things they could clap back on. I mean, the media made a big deal about that. They made a big deal about Geno Smith being traded. They made a big deal about Sam Darnold looking. I don't even remember this. Like his first OTA, like Sam Darnold looks mediocre, and Geno Smith had a much bigger arm and all this. And
Welcome back to the 12 Talk podcast, everyone. My name is Josh. I'm one of your hosts. We have got Rob Staton returning to the pod today, following his podcast with us, talking about the Rams pre-game. We're going to talk about the post-game and also the lead-up to the Super Bowl. Oh my God, we're in the Super Bowl, everyone. 12s. I want you to get loud. Turn it up to 12. It's going to be an absolutely amazing episode. We're talking with Rob about his feelings following that game, how he's feeling now, how we're feeling now, how hopefully you guys are feeling now, and what that's going to look like going towards the game. We're going to talk about the players that we should all be watching out for. And also, do we fear the Patriots? Should we fear the Patriots? We'll get into all that. But if you're new to this channel, by all means, you can subscribe, hit the notification bell. It really helps us out. We want to reach more and more 12s across the world, and you can help us by doing that. And if you want to reach more 12s yourself, join our Discord. The link is in the description box down below. There's 12s from all over the world there, and you can talk with them and us leading up to the Super Bowl and beyond. We're going to have some amazing draft content coming up very soon as well. And finally, if you like what you hear, you can buy us a coffee. There's a link down there, or a beer. You know, we might need a couple of those during the Super Bowl. And last but by no means least, we are the UK Seahawkers official podcast. If you're not a UK Seahawker and you want to become one, it's £12 for the year, £20 for a family of up to 4. The same address, £5 postage if you're outside the UK per membership. But that's because of the goodies we get. You can do that by paying over PayPal. Send the payment to ukhawksfans12@hotmail.com. Use friends and family. We're all friends and family here. And you'll get access to our social events, one of which I'll tell you about very shortly. 10% discount at the Pro Shop. You could be eligible for game day field passes if they're available. Access to members-only competitions and our annual selection of goodies, which this year included our 21-year anniversary patch, 2 coasters, our wristband, and you also get your card to say you're a card-carrying member. And you can join this handsome lot that were with us in Glasgow last year. And you can also join us at our Super Bowl watch party. We're going to be in O'Neill's Broad Street in Birmingham. There's currently 45 12s from all over the UK that's going to be joining us. We're going to be taking over a section of O'Neill's, cheering on our Hawks. Drop us a DM. I can add you to the list. It's going to be an amazing time. But with all that said and done, I think we should get back into it. We should see exactly what Rob had to say. And you can let us know in the comments. And we're back with Rob Staton. Rob has kindly joined us again after his last pod, talking about how excited he was going to be if we won, and that he had some annual leave in the bank. And I think you did you get that all booked up, mate?
Yeah, so I quickly went in and made sure the next day that I had that leave booked in. And next week will be. I've got a couple of things to do next week. There's a transfer deadline day on the Monday, and I have some lecturing to do. But after that, it will be all systems go for the Super Bowl.
And it's I've still not come down. I still have to pinch myself It's the fact we're here. I've done so much driving this week with work, so I've just been churning through podcasts and news and sort of catching up on your bits, and it still hasn't struck me properly that we're in the big dance. I mean, how are you feeling? Because you were, I'm going to guess you're on cloud nine.
Yeah, I think very similarly. I feel really surprised. Obviously elated with it. It's just so unexpected, really. Like this season has felt quite unique. In that for a number of years we expected like the big name quarterbacks and several contenders to be there at the end of the year. And while you would maybe have some upstart teams who would do quite well, they'd probably like climax in the divisional round maybe, and that was it. Like last year, the Commanders got to the NFC Championship game, and that was a bit of a surprise, but then they got smashed by the Eagles, and that completely fizzled out for them at the game before the Super Bowl. And yet here we are this year, and the way that you went from a Seahawks team that started 3-2 and that was really quite bad on defense against the Buccaneers, and then similarly had that very disappointing loss against the Rams in LA with the 4 interceptions, to not lose a game after that, and to just be so massively consistent throughout the rest of the games there, and to get into this position where you are the number 1 seed, and then all of a sudden it hits you, doesn't it? Like when they won that Week 18 game, you were like thinking, "Crap,
oh my God,
you're going to win 2 home games here, and they're in the Super Bowl." And even then, you like the feeling I've had this week is just sort of the stress has just poured out, like because all of a sudden there was stress there, because I was worried that what if they don't take advantage of this and get to the Super Bowl? Like you've the 2 home games, like if you lose and you don't get there, like that's going to be really difficult to handle for the next few months. And then once they got there, it was just like all of that worry and sort of like concern just poured out, and you're just like, they're there. Like we can just spend 2 weeks, like you say, listening to everything, absorbing everything, and hoping that they win. And I'm sure when it gets to like the night before or 2 nights before, maybe that stress will come back and you'll want them to win the big game. But for now, I'm quite happy, enjoying the knowledge that they're there, that everybody seems to be picking the Seahawks to win, and I'm happy to live in that world for a few more days yet.
Yeah, but Mitch, as the more level of the two of us emotionally in this pod, how are you feeling now, mate?
I feel really good about it in terms of like a relief, kind of like what Rob's saying there. There's a sort of relief that the advantage we had in order to get to the Super Bowl has fallen into place. We've not sort of tripped over ourselves and had a bad game that cost us when we had all of the aces up the sleeve. I think we're there, and I'm relieved we're there. But I think now that we are, I feel like we're so far ahead of the curve that we thought we should be on. I think I was hoping divisional round for us this year would be a really good result, considering, the turnaround for the franchise. We're way ahead of where we should have been. And I feel like I can just kind of enjoy that we're back and if you look back at the last Super Bowl we were in, it was the second Super Bowl we'd been to in a row. We'd blown someone out. We'd blown the Broncos out in the previous Super Bowl. The Legion of Boom was at its peak, and it was famous, and people were tuning in to watch it. There was an expectancy on us to win it. We were at the top of our game. This is the Seahawks still climbing, so I feel like there's less pressure on us to win it. I can almost enjoy it. Does that make sense?
Completely, because I think I'm in sort of the same boat. I'm still getting my head around the fact that we're there, that we're in the dance, but also I don't feel as a fan that much pressure for our team to go and win it. I want them to win it. I think they should win it, but I'm not at that point of like, where it's sort of, it's tangible. You can feel it needs to be won. It needs to be there. This is our, it has to be an opportunity. Because I'm thinking, even if we get there, and it might be a step too far this season, the building blocks are there for us to be there consistently. But I think like what Rob was saying and what a lot of people have said, the way this season's gone, this is a perfect opportunity to go and take that Super Bowl, because some of the big players didn't even get through. You look at this is the AFC conference the championship there was no Lamar, there was no Josh Allen. You look at the NFC as well, and all these teams that you thought might have been contenders weren't there, but yet we're here against the Pats, and they're a team that no one expected to be there. I'm desperately trying to put it together in my head what's happening and that we're there. I mean,
I think it was Colin Coward that said yesterday
a lot of stuff.
That, well, he always does. but the thing he said yesterday, I thought was a really interesting statistic. I think the odds of the Seahawks getting to the Super Bowl and the odds of the Patriots getting to the Super Bowl multiplied is the lowest chance of a Super Bowl matchup in 50 years. Because the Seahawks and the Patriots were probably in like the bottom six on the odds. And I thought that was a really interesting thing.
Well, just think about how you would be feeling this week if, let's say, Josh Allen had got to the Bills to the Super Bowl, because what you'd actually be hearing now is this is Josh Allen's time. Like that would be what people were saying. Instead of, I get the sense a lot of neutrals want the Seahawks to win because they're a bit bored of the Patriots winning and they think, oh my God, if they win another one now, like, are they just going to win another 6 or 7 over the next 20 years? Yeah. I don't think anybody really wants that outside of New England's fan base. So you wouldn't be having that. Like people, the neutrals would probably gravitate to Josh Allen instead, and they would be hoping that this is his time. The media would all be talking about Josh Allen. He would be the huge story. Likewise, if Mahomes and the Chiefs had got to the Super Bowl, all of the talk would have been, here we go again. Like you can't beat this team. We'd all be sort of thinking it's a free hit and like have a go and not really expecting much because it's Mahomes and the Chiefs and whatever. But we've got this really surreal situation here where they've got to the Super Bowl, like having been the number 1 team in DVOA, which is usually indicative of who is actually the best team in the league. So it's not as if the Seahawks are necessarily a fluke the way there, but you are playing a team that last season won 4 games that typically, like the Patriots in most seasons, would have been that team that got to the divisional round, got eliminated by someone like Patrick Mahomes, and then turned around and went, we've had a great season. Like, let's have another go next year, another draft, another free agency. We can be a contender next year. And yet they suddenly find themselves in the Super Bowl. So you're kind of looking at this game now and thinking, what an opportunity. Like, because you don't know how many of these you're going to get. Like the Seahawks do not have a Mahomes who you just think it's inevitable. He's going to be in multiple Super Bowls, and he has been already. Like he's won 3. He's won 3, or has he won? Yeah, he's won 3 and he's lost 2. So he's been in 5 Super Bowls already. And when he showed his quality in his first season, you thought, yep, he's going to be in a lot of Super Bowls. For the Seahawks, this might be it for many a year. It's 11 years since the last one. And when we were all sort of thinking ahead to that Patriots game, we probably dreamt of having multiple Super Bowls in the future and weren't thinking this is going to be the last one for 11 years. So this might be it. So now you look at it and you think, now it's fun. Now it's enjoyable. Now the Seahawks are getting a lot of positive talk. The nearer you get to the game, though, you're going to think, I really hope they win this game, like they should do, because if they do, perfect. You can put that trophy next to the other one and say, brilliant. If they lose it, you're going to be like, oh, what a missed opportunity.
Woulda, shoulda, coulda. It's the thing that I'm not going to bring this pod on a downer, but the thing I'm really cautious of is that, like you said, everyone, it seems every corner of the NFL media, the podcasters, social media influencers, if you will, as well, are saying that it should be the Seahawks. And I just don't want us to end up with egg on our face with how well we've played this season, how good this team appears to be. I don't want it to be they're the favourites, but they blew it, because that would be gut-wrenching. I believe that Mike McDonald could bring the team back from that and say, we were a year ahead of where we expected to be. But I really don't want that. I just want to be able to go and watch this game with the UK Seahawkers and just celebrate at the end. Let's drag it away from the negative stuff, because I want to keep this positive. It's been a positive season, and let's carry it on. So we mentioned the Pats, and this has been a bit of a surprise season for them. There's been a lot of talk about an easy run in, but they have got some good players. There's no two ways about that. I mean, are there any players that, Robert, you in particular are watching out for and looking at the matchups?
Well, the quarterback, I think, is the main one because he is, he has got an interesting skill set. His ability to scramble away from pressure, his ability to improvise, his ability to make plays with his legs. And if he's one of those very useful players whereby, one, you want to get after the quarterback, but you have to be cautious of contain. And sometimes that can be the biggest pass protection you need, is that if you are too aggressive off the edge, then he might have a free run up the middle. He might be able to just get around that pass rusher on that side. If the linebackers are not disciplined, and it does just freeze your defense a little bit, the threat of the run. Certainly, I think we saw a lot of that when Lamar Jackson came to Seattle the first time. The Seahawks didn't know what to do because do you attack him? Do you sit back? And he ends up just beating you with his legs. So there's him, and there's obviously got a big arm as well. I think aside from that, I can tell you what I think is going to happen over the next few days. I think Seahawks fans, and particularly those who are very active on social media or in pods, will bend over backwards to promote the New England Patriots, because they'll be having that fear that, well, we need to take this team seriously. And do you know what I have to say? And this I think plays into sort of the positive messaging that you're looking for. I just want to that can get in the sea for me. Quite frankly, I don't need to hear it. I'm already seeing it every time you talk positive about the game. Someone goes, "Well, don't underestimate New England." And it's like, oh, come on. Yeah, we get it. Like, no one's suggesting it's going to be a cake. It's going to be a piece of piss, and that they're just going to win the Super Bowl. Like, that's not what anybody is saying. Like, I think we all respect Mike Vrabel as an outstanding coach. That they've got a very experienced defensive coordinator. Like, so the quarterback's good. That they have got some good defensive players. But they look very much to me like this. If this was a regular season game, I'd be treating it exactly the same as the Jacksonville game on the road, or the Houston game. And they won those games, and they won them quite handsomely in the end. So, yeah, maybe this one will be different, but I'm kind of expecting a similar kind of game, one where the Seahawks are better, and it probably won't be a demolition. It might end up being a one-score game in the end. But I expect that when that clock hits 0, the Seahawks will be the winners. And that, I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Like, we've all seen unexpected things happen. I mean, Leicester City won the Premier League. Like, anything can happen. But
I think it's with my mindset. Professionally, I work in insurance, so I'm very risk averse. I always have to look at, like, you put the underwriting hat on and you're like, right, what's the worst possible scenario? And even though I try and push that out of my head, because I look at the stats, I look at the team, I look at how they've been playing, and this team, I think the Seahawks can run all over this Pats team. I think our O-line stands a good chance of actually, disrupting and actually giving some good protection for Darnold. And besides Gonzalez, I don't see a lot of issues in their secondary. And I don't know if that's just me, just being overconfident. And I think defensively, our D-line should absolutely smoke their O-line. You look at the Will Campbell. What was the big criticism about him as a tackle?
Sure,
Tiny T-Rex arms, wasn't it?
I'll tell you what my biggest criticism of him was, that his tape was ruddy awful last year at LSU. Like, it wasn't any good. Like, I honestly, I know I'm not just saying this. Like, people can go back and have a look on the blog. I thought he had a bad final season at LSU. And then he got to the draft process and he was like, oh, Will Campbell, top 10 lock. And I was like, well, okay. Like, that's not what I saw
based
at
on
LSU.
Reputation only. It was reputation only.
I kept Garrett Nussmeier had all sorts of problems with pass protection in his penultimate season at LSU, and a lot of the problems came from that left side. We've seen that in the playoffs.
In my opinion, you chuck Derek Hall over on that side, because Derek Hall has got some long old levers, and just allow him to bull rush the crap out of him, because he will not be able to get under his pads at all. Like, Campbell.
Can I just say a couple of things as well? Because you mentioned Christian Gonzalez, and this is one of the things that I'm not suggesting that you were saying this, Josh, but I know what's going to happen. Like, I know Christian Gonzalez is going to be Darrell Revis by the time this game kicks off. because people keep talking about him and like, listen, he's a decent cornerback, like absolutely, yeah, he's a former first round pick. He's a decent player. I am not a big PFF grades person, but I don't think you have to ignore them. I think sometimes it can be used to suit an argument that you want to make, and I want to make this argument, so I'm going to use them. But Christian Gonzalez, for the purpose of this conversation, was the 24th highest graded cornerback this season. So not terrible, not great. Who was the number 1 graded cornerback this year? Devin Witherspoon.
Yeah.
And how many Pats fans are going, oh, Devin Witherspoon plays for the Seahawks? Like, no, I don't think they are. But we're all going like, Christian Gonzalez is a good player. And I kind of feel like, do you know what? And you can go through it. Like, Milton Williams is a good player. Yeah, he's a really good player. So is Leonard Williams. So is Byron Murphy. So is Jaron Reed. We've got 3 of them. So like,
this is what I'm trying not to be like, bro. I know exactly what you're saying, because I think deep down I feel that too. But I'm like, I want to look at the Pats and go, but they have got good players. They could cause us problems. They're in the Super Bowl. But then I look across their whole roster and I look at ours and I'm like, we have just got, and if this gets clipped up, then I will probably get some heat. I just think top to bottom, we have got a better roster. I mean, Sam Darnold, Drake May, obviously that's a toss-up. I think it's very scheme dependent. But I think
not on the way Sam Darnold played last week. He's not.
Exactly. That was an elite level. You know, and I'd look across the board and I'm like, this shouldn't give us any problems. But I don't want to go into the Super Bowl watch party with so confident, because I don't want to get hurt.
Well, that's understandable. And look, there are things to be aware. Mike Vrabel, as I mentioned, is an excellent coach. And he played for Belichick. He's won Super Bowls as a player, and he will have some ideas and some game plans that will cause you problems. And there's a distinct possibility that he and Josh McDaniels could cook up a plan that wins this game. That's absolutely possible. The other possibility is, and the last Super Bowl that happened in this stadium, the Panthers played the Broncos. The Broncos played that game without a quarterback. Peyton Manning couldn't throw the football. He turned the ball over. He was absolutely useless. I mean, like, one of us could have done what Peyton Manning did. I'm not with his mind, obviously.
I feel you hold us in much higher regard than you should, mate.
Physically, I would encourage people to go back and look at the highlights of that game. He couldn't throw the football. His stats were poor. I don't think he got about 60 yards in the game. I need to go and check, because that might be BS. But I mean, he was awful, and they won because the Panthers kept turning the ball over. They had a touchdown on defense from a forced fumble on the goal line. They had multiple turnovers in the game, interceptions, fumbles. It was a disaster from the Panthers. If the Panthers had basically just ran the ball and punted on every snap, they probably would have won the Super Bowl. But they didn't, because they kept turning the ball over. If the Seahawks go out there and turn the ball over, they're going to make this a game. So that's the key. It's that fine balance between playing mistake-free football without being too conservative, trying to play as mistake-free as possible. They showed last weekend you can make a whole bunch of mistakes and still win, because they did on defense. And they give up nearly 500 yards again, but the offense played at a high standard. If the offense doesn't quite play as well as they did against the Rams, but the defense plays a lot better than it did, it balances it out, you should still be too strong. And it might be 6-6 at halftime. It might be 10-10 at halftime, like the last one against the Patriots. But that's when the Seahawks have separated. It's that, you get to the third quarter, the fourth quarter, and they've just got a bit too much for teams. And they separate. And then sometimes the other team comes back in the fourth quarter, as the Jaguars did. And as the Titans did, and as the Texans did. But they still had too much. So if we were Falcons fans talking about the Super Bowl, I think this conversation, you'd draw one conclusion: who's going to win this game? And I don't think we have to shy away from that. But we can say all these things whilst acknowledging, doesn't mean it's going to play out exactly how you think. Anything can happen.
And this is it. Mitch, how how are you feeling about? Like I said, you are the level-headed one out of the two of us. So
I got a couple of
barometer.
things. Yeah, well, a couple of things, and I think I'd just add to what Rob just said and say that even if they have their best day and they have a game plan that gets them right in the game, fourth quarter, right in it, our special teams unit has found a way to make the difference in games as well. I don't think there's a special teams unit in the league that has been as important as ours in terms of just finding a way to get us right ahead in games. So I think as a tiebreaker, when things get close, our special teams unit comes through. So there's that as well. We started this by talking about matchups that worry us. I think if you go back 2 years, we played the Patriots in a regular season game in Pete Carroll's final season, and Hunter Henry looked like prime George Kittle, and we just couldn't stop him. And the ball went the same. It was pretty much the same play repeatedly. We couldn't handle it. Well, since then, we went out and got a man called Nick Emanwari to deal with troublesome tight ends and give us a matchup nightmare. Prior to having Nick Emanwari, I would have been worried about that matchup with Hunter Henry in this game. Not anymore. I think Nick Emanwari will be out there making plays, getting sideline to sideline with his long levers, getting hands on everything. I think we're so much better equipped man to man all the way around, defense, offense. We are man to man as good as anyone in the league, and we've got depth. An injury to certain players just doesn't seem to worry me anymore, because I know there is players like Tyre Carter to come in, Tyrese Knight that can come in if Drake Thomas goes down. All the way through the roster, we got the depth, we got the matchups. We've shown great adjustments at halftime. In lots of games. I think we are just so well equipped for whatever difficulties we face in that Super Bowl.
Tell you what, our head-to-head series that's coming up next week is going to look very, very one-sided after this pod.
I mean, what I would say is that there's another couple of things to think about here. Is when these two teams last met in the Super Bowl, but everyone thinks of one play, but there were some other big moments in that game, and that will not have gone unnoticed. That's what the Belichick Patriots did very well, is they would identify situations to exploit. If you remember about that last Super Bowl 11 years ago, they found a way to get Rob Gronkowski isolated on KJ Wright, and that was a big touchdown play. It was a cheap, avoidable touchdown that the Seahawks gave away there because the Patriots outthought them. Like, if you give away a cheap 7 points like that, it can be a difference. It can be a bit of a, okay, like, so you've got the more talented team, but now all of a sudden you've closed the gap there because you've stolen 7 points. You see, this is the thing about the Rams game the other night. You stole 7 points because of the special teams mistake that you immediately converted into a touchdown. Big plays like that can be the difference in tight games. If this is a tight game and they get a matchup situation, I just don't see Mike McDonald being fooled in that way. Like, I almost feel like if the Patriots are going to beat Mike McDonald's defense and have great success, it's because they will have found something that consistently works, like McVay has done, and they keep going to the well. I don't think it's going to be one play where all of a sudden Hunter Henry, for example, is matched up against Byron Murphy in coverage, and it's like, oh my God, how did that happen? Like, I just don't see that being a flaw. Obviously, that's an extreme example there. I just wanted to give the most preposterous.
I would hope if that happened, then Byron Murphy just evaporates him.
I just tried to think of the most ridiculous situation possible. Like Brandon Peely's up against him or something. Like, I'm coming up with an extreme example. The other thing that I think is we've got to be careful of, and this is the thing that would sort of make me pause the most, is an Antoine Randall style trick play. That, again, is just cheap points.
Yeah.
I think that if you notice what Vrabel said last week, that or this week, the days blend into one, that he tries to project how many points his team will need in every game. And if he thinks we need 30 points in this game, and I don't know if we can score 30 points going up, down, 80 yards, 90 yards, 65 yards, to go and score touchdowns, he'll have to find a way to get the 30 points. And that might be a zany trick play, or fake punt, a tricky sort of throw from a receiver, if I was the Seahawks, I'm sure they're doing this. I would be looking at every single receiver on this team, who has thrown a pass in the NFL, who threw a pass in college, who was an ex-quarterback in high school. Like, try and identify how they're going to try and catch you out, because I don't think the Seahawks need to do any of this stuff, and I hope they don't spend the next 2 weeks trying to find a trick play, because they don't think they need it. The Patriots probably do. So I would be very wary of a tricky play, and that could the momentum shift of, like, if you can defend it and say, is that all you got? And
that was your race in the hole type thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's what you've been working on for the last 2 weeks? Well, yeah, we snuffed that out. So what else have you got in your bag of tricks? But if it ends up being a touchdown and it's like, okay, now they've got 7 points that we shouldn't have given them. So that's what I think will be a big factor in this game.
Yeah, it's not. I'll admit it's not something I've thought about with the trick plays, because I just see Vrabel very much as a straight down the middle coach, defensive minded. He just wants to win a football game properly. But then you've got Josh McDaniel, haven't you? And that's
Vrabel is outside of the Lions. Vrabel is probably the most aggressive. He will go for fourth down, go for it, aggressive. He's very aggressive.
Didn't he run the Wildcat at the Titans a couple of times with Derrick Henry?
Almost certainly. But
I'm pretty sure Henry has a sort of basketball style
jump pass.
Yeah, jump pass touchdown.
I think he had one against Seattle, actually, when the Seahawks lost in week 2 a few years ago.
Henry ran all over us.
He got about 7,000 yards. Yeah. Luckily, he's not playing this weekend, but I think he will be aggressive. He will try and steal possessions. That they will go for a lot on fourth down. I think he'll feel like that's another thing to expect. I think he will, maybe even on like their own 40-yard line, they'll think, we can't punt the ball back to this team. We need to score. We need to score. I think he'll keep going for it. And there's pros and cons to that. Like, you can get halfway through a game, and if all that aggression and all that stuff is working, the Patriots come back into the locker room at halftime thinking, we're in this game. If it don't work and the Seahawks have built a handsome lead by halftime, they'll be going in thinking, what do we do now? And that can be tough.
The demoralizing effect that I'd have at halftime is what I would revel in. If I was a coach, a player, a fan, just seeing that happen, that would be the creme de la creme for me.
Can you remember how you felt in the halftime of the first Super Bowl win?
Oh, God,
what a great feeling! I never would have thought I'd have enjoyed a Bruno Mars concert, but I did. I thought I was singing along. I didn't know the words, but I was like, "It's amazing."
I remember I was watching it at a pool hall in Colchester with the Colchester Gladiators American football team. I think I was the only Seahawks fan there, and I was full of beans. I was dancing up to the bar, dancing back, like, this is amazing. I never thought this would happen. If that happens again, I mean, we're going to O'Neill's Broad Street in Birmingham to watch it. There's like 45 from sort of our podcast community in the UK Seahawkers going there en masse. So it's going to be a massive night anyway. But I can just imagine how that bar's going to be if this happens.
It's a great thought, isn't it? And look, the thing is, it's not that ridiculous. I mean, the Seahawks have been well ahead in many games. Like, look at the Niners a couple of weeks ago. Like that, it can happen. Maybe not quite to the extent that Super Bowl happened, but the idea of a decent lead at halftime and not worrying too much and feeling as if this is a game that can be suitably dull enough for the rest of the world, but very exciting for the Seahawks, is something that I don't think is beyond the realms of possibility. It's not something that you genuinely hope for, really, is it? Because you don't want to push your luck, but not out of the realms of possibility now.
And I think that's what scares me the most. It's not out of the realms of possibility, and it's what a lot of people are saying.
Josh. I'm quite scared about
I work in insurance. I'm scared of everything. I can't help it. And it's for me, it's the, when you get your hopes up so much and they get dashed, and it's that feeling, that gut check where you're just like, oh, this is horrific. So I've trained my brain now to try and stay, my wife hates this because I try and stay really level with things, and I don't get too overly emotional until it happens. Like, I watched your pod with Robbie when we won. Like, that was an amazing display of emotion, and I I shouted under my breath so much that I was hoarse for at least 3 days. I was literally on my knees in my living room going, yes, and then couldn't talk. But I tried to stay as level as possible throughout that game.
Well, look, I don't know. I don't know about you two. I mean, I apologize if if anybody has an issue with this, but I am not a religious person. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, and I don't believe in sort of any sort of footballing god either. But part of me is prepared to embrace the thought that that this is all part of some crazy script that, like, 11 years ago had the worst. I mean, I'm very emotional when it comes to sport, as you probably saw when I was making a tit of myself after that game against the Niners.
I wouldn't say that. It was genuine emotion. It's good to see.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, when people say when you hear your own voice back, it can be a bit embarrassing sometimes. Wait till you've seen yourself shed a tear on a live stream. That's proper embarrassing. But the point I was making is that that when it comes to sort of the sport, like, I really took, for example, as a big sort of England football fan as well, I really took the Italy game very badly. Yeah. Like, it absolutely wrecked us. Like, I was completely in a loss for probably a few weeks, if I'm honest. That sounds pretty pathetic, but it's true. And the only thing I can compare that feeling to was the Super Bowl. And in both instances, it's because it's there, the sort of the moment that you're gonna remember forever in your life as one of the best days of your life is snatched away from you, and there's nothing you can do about it, and you've just got to sit there and grieve. And that was the same with the Patriots game, and it floored me so much. And I almost feel as if it's how has it come to be that, like, the Seahawks are back in the Super Bowl now, and against all the odds the Patriots are waiting there, and part of me just thinks the world is putting things right in the Seahawks fandom world this year.
There's like a karmic full circle moment.
That it's going, do you know what? Yeah, you've suffered enough. Like, we're going to give you this one. Like, we're going to let you wear the same, like, everything. Like, they're going to wear the same uniform. Like, they're the official road team. And the Patriots because they're undefeated on the road, have decided we're going to wear our road uniforms because that, because we're superstitious or whatever, and we think it might help. So they put the Seahawks in this all blue, and do you know what? I punched. It's again a bit embarrassing. I was like, yes, when I found out they were wearing the all blues, because I didn't want them to wear the grey pants and act scared about wearing the all blues. I was like, get out there in them all blues and go and put this right, and they are. And, like, just the thought of them beating the Patriots, looking the same, in another NFC West arena, just getting up there and lifting that Lombardi and those uniforms, and just thinking. And do you know what? I know I spoke to Jason Puckett on the show that we do this week, and he said that he'll never ever get over the loss, and he'll always think about it. I can genuinely say, if they win, I don't care how they win it. If they win this Super Bowl a week on Sunday, then I will laugh every time I see that Malcolm Butler interception. I will go, you know what? I don't care. Bring it on, because I know what happened 11 years later.
Yeah, I listened to that episode today when I was driving. Today when I was driving back from a meeting, and I thought, you know what, Rob? You're right. Someone could show me that. As a Pats fan could go, you may have beaten us this year, but do you remember this one? I'd be like, and what's your point?
Some of this.
What about this year? Yeah, well done for 11 years ago.
Especially if it ends up being like 41-6, like the Niners game, and you're like, just imagine that. Just I am pretty relaxed about everything, and I know there's always a danger that you're going to fall over your feet and look silly. And any Patriots fan watching this, I'm sure, will have their reaction. But even the little things, like, I don't know if you saw that Pats fan on I don't watch it, but the Barstool clip that was doing the rounds yesterday of the Pats fan sat there with his Pats hat on and his Pats hoodie on, going, yeah, but if you take all of the tough teams off Seattle's schedule, then actually their schedule is really easy. And the guys there going, yeah, if you just take the Niners and the Rams and the Jaguars and the Texans and all that.
Just put divisional QB. QB. I was like, so one of the divisional QBs that we've played 3 times now, who's up for MVP, Brock Purdy, who's actually quite functional in that role. I was just like, get out of here. But then you've got the other guy from Barstool who's bought 5 of those, like a T-shirt with Richard Sherman's face when we threw it at the 1 yard line just to wear all week in San Francisco. I was just like,
oh, good. Knock yourself out, pal. I'm not really bothered. Like, we'll see what happens. But, maybe we will be buying a T-shirt after this game. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you can wear those if that's all you've got. Like, I'm not really bothered. Like, to be honest, all that stuff is, I find it a bit
superfluous. That's all it is.
It's crap banter. It's not even that good.
I like to call shanter.
Yeah,
because we try and stay clean. I'm not going to tell everyone what it is. Ask us in our Discord. I'll tell you exactly what it is. But like, I'm. Do you know what? You've made me feel so much more positive, Rob. I'm gonna need every time you do a podcast, like running up to the Super Bowl, I'm going to have to listen to it and sit in a darkened room and just try and feel a bit more positive about this game.
Well, this is a great moment for me as well, because as the person who was criticised for being too negative,
how the roles have reversed.
I didn't want to say the voice of positivity. So here we go. How the tides have changed.
I don't like to say I'm negative. I'm not a negative person. Like I said, I've just got that mindset of not being too high or too low until something gives me a reason to be. So it's like, if we go 21 points up, I will go from this level playing field to up here, and everyone in that bar is going to know about it. However, if it starts getting a bit shaky, I'm just going to be like, just mentally prepare yourself, Josh. This could be a loss. And then when that final whistle blows, and if we win, then I will skyrocket.
So how would you, if they win? I mean, you've kind of portrayed it a bit there, Josh, but also, mate, what are you like? What are you going to be like if they do win? Let's assume it's not a tip style dramatic finish. Let's say the Seahawks win the game, perhaps in the style that they beat the Rams, where it's not a last gasp sort of thing. That wasn't that sort of desperate. They had needed 90 yards in 20 seconds. So what are you going to be like if they win that in the game that way? Are you going to be like you say, hoarse for 3 days? Are you going to be?
I'll be hoarse for 3 days. I will feel awful driving back from Birmingham just due to the amount of energy I will have exerted celebrating. There'll probably be a tear. I'll probably go and hug every Seahawks fan in that bar. Mitch, I'm sorry, you're going to be right next to me, so you'll be the first one getting a hug. There'll be a tray of shots at some point. I don't really care. I'll be like, what's the greenest shot you've got? Yeah, and I probably won't shut up about it. Like, I'm driving my friend up from just outside Colchester, and he's going to be in the car with me for 3 hours, and he's not going to, even if I'm hoarse, I'm going to talk through that to him, at him, and he's not going to hear the end of it. I'm going to have a bigger smile on my face for so long. Mitch, what will you be like?
I think I'm going to be weirdly emotional, because the last Patriots Super Bowl was my first night as a Seahawks fan. That was where it started for me, and since that point, can we delete that bit? Can we?
Yeah, I was going to say, we'll scrub that.
But
only wait one more day.
Maybe I am the curse, but. Since that disappointment and getting more and more into the NFL and the draft and everything else and everything I've loved about the NFL, my love for the Seahawks has grown massively, and the community that we've built with the love of the Seahawks and the NFL and the UK NFL following and all of that stuff that we're now embracing. I love all of it, but I still can't quite get away from the fact that ever since I started watching, that first night we just haven't done it again. But we haven't got back there again. So I think being in a bar in Birmingham with the group of people that we have assembled around us on this journey, sharing that moment with them and many drinks, I probably will get really emotional about it.
Speaking of drinks, Rob, did you find that bottle of champagne?
Yeah, I mean, it is still there. I didn't
just leave it outside. You don't even need to put it in the fridge.
I have got it. I didn't dabble because I actually started. I started doing some lecturing, so I'm my first one on Monday, and I did not want to be half cut still.
Yeah.
I didn't want to run it because it was about 5 a.m., wasn't it? So you're never quite sure how long as this is going to stay in the system for. So I thought I better not. Obviously, I'll be on lecture number 3 by the time the Super Bowl comes, and I don't know. It might be one whereby the next night I take the chance to sort of have a little celebratory drink. But it'd be great though, wouldn't it? And I do think, I did have a great deal of sympathy for the Atlanta Falcons fans when they. I don't know how many of them there are in the UK, but certainly there'll be sort of versions of us in Atlanta or parts of America, if not over here necessarily. Maybe there is, I don't know. But when they blew that Super Bowl, it's 28-3. I kind of looked at it and thought, God, that reminds me so much of the Super Bowl that we lost, because it's so close. You should win. You don't win. It's hard to get over it. And I just remember thinking, I don't, as a Falcons fan, I'd really struggle with that. And now that we've got back to have another chance at this, actually thinking about that and thinking of how far away they seem to be at the minute, and maybe they'll turn a corner now they've got a proper coach in Stefanski. I like him. I don't know, but we have this chance. We have an opportunity here to get some closure, and it would be fantastic to do it. It really would, and I think we can all kind of move on then, and it will change us as Seahawks fans, because I think moving forward, that sort of spectre of that one Super Bowl can be put to bed, and we can look forward to the future, and we take everything in a stride. And if they get to future Super Bowls and maybe don't necessarily win, every year there's a Super Bowl loser. I don't think the Chiefs fans have had like a mental torture after they lost to the Eagles last year. They were probably disappointed for a few days and then thought, well, we've won a few, so it doesn't matter. And that can be us in the future if we lose future Super Bowls, because we can all say, we've won a couple of them. We've been in some, we've won some, we've lost some, but it's just the way it goes. When you don't compete in that many and you lose one the way that we did 11 years ago, it's tough. But when you're sort of competing for them and you accept that there's going to be some success and failure along the way, it's easier to take. And if they could go and win this one and be 2-2 in Super Bowls, and we can always go, and the 2 they lost, they should have won, but they've won 2, we've experienced 2. I personally would think, do you know what? The Seahawks are giving me a lot of joy. So with all of even when the draft stuff and the communities, like you say, and the friends I've made over the years from being associated with the team that's 5,000 miles away from my house. If you'd have said to me when I moved to Vancouver in 2006, you are going to become hideously addicted to a football team that's the other side of the border, I would have said there's absolutely no chance of that. And yet here we are. And I think all will be well. And I do believe, I genuinely believe, I'm not one who's just like who's wildly positive for the sake of it and just says these things to get approval or anything like that, or make people feel better. I genuinely believe everything that I've said on this pod. And I look forward to the game. And I just hope that they can finish it out. And the other thing is, it's such a likable team for me. Like I think the LOB were likable for us, but I think everybody else found them quite annoying and a bit too bravado, brash, arrogant. Not the easiest team to root for necessarily. I think people found Pete Carroll a bit irritating and Russell Wilson a bit irritating as well. Whereas this team, I think generally people can go, oh, I like them. They're all right. I can live with them winning the Super Bowl, and that's a good thought as well.
This is, like you said it before, that it seems that every impartial fan, and this is weird for me to compute as well, wants the Seahawks to win. And it's such a weird feeling, because when we went back to the Super Bowl 11 years ago, not many people put faith in us. There were people that were just like, oh, I can't stand that Richard Sherman. All does this talk. I can't stand this. Like, and I was never a huge Russell Wilson guy because I just found him too cheesy. But this year seems really different. That what Mike McDonald's done to this team, by everyone buying in, and even independent pundits going, I really like the Seahawks team. I like the players, I like the coaching, I like the culture, everything about it. It just feels weird, but weird in a really good way, because it's nice to know I don't support a team that is universally hated.
Well, look at the Chiefs. I mean, like I don't think Andy Reid's dislikable at all. I think he's
I
quite
love
likable.
Andy Reid.
Yeah, he seems like the kind of guy you'd want to be successful. And Mahomes has kind of got this geeky sort of side to him. But again, he's not someone that I think you think, oh, bloody Mahomes. Like, he seems normal. He doesn't seem like most pro athletes really, and that's I think an endearing thing about him. And yet, when they won the last Super Bowl, you kind of think, I'm a bit bored of this now. Like, it's every year. You kind of root against them. I find it very hard to root for the Eagles, but I wasn't that bothered when the Eagles blew them away last year. Like it, and if they'd have just bounced straight back and won it again, you'd be like, oh. And there was a bit of that with like it's the bloody Patriots again 11 years ago, and Brady and Belichick, and if it's not them, it's Pete Carroll and it's the LOB, and they might just win it every year, and then this year you've got, I think people don't want to see the evil empire recreated with a new quarterback and head coach in New England. But I think Drake May and Mike Vrabel are probably much more likable than Belichick and Brady were, and that they've not had quite
it's not a hard task, really, is it, from a personality point of view?
And Mike McDonald is, I mean, he's the polar opposite of Pete, really. I mean, I think those of us who followed the Seahawks never, found that anything that irritates with Pete, but I can see why other teams did. And Mike McDonald just is the kind of, to me, seems like the kind of coach that every team would want to have. And the Sam Darnold story, like, how can you not want Sam Darnold to win the Super Bowl?
We were begging for a story like this with the Geno redemption arc, and it obviously that went one way with Geno not wanting to be here and follow Pete, and now we've got another redemption arc story in Sam Darnold that we can possibly see to its full potential, which I am all aboard. I love it. I love an underdog redemption story, anything like that, and I think Sam Darnold has just been superb. You've got me hyped up for this now, Rob.
Good.
Thank you. I can have a very, very good weekend, and I'm going to be trying to, as you say, absorb as much Seahawks Super Bowl content over the coming week as possible. What have you got coming up? And you said you were writing something for the blog.
Well, I've got it. I mean, I've done. I've worked a lot on the blog this week. The hours are ridiculous. Covering the Senior Bowl. So first and foremost, if you have got any, if you've got any appetite for something that's not Super Bowl related, please do go and have a read of that, because
Mitch will be all over that.
There is some stuff on there, and I'm not casting aspersions at anybody, but I do find some of the stuff on the Senior Bowl to be absolutely ridiculous every year, because people just watch these like 1v1s and it's like, oh my God, like, look at this guy and he did this. And they don't even like, and I'm not suggesting that I know everything, but I've spoken to people. I don't really know how it's happened, but I do have the opportunity to speak to people who've like been GMs and are currently scouting in the league. And I've spoken, I've said, what do you think about this? And they go, and they just laugh at some of the stuff that's said about the Senior Bowl. And you look at it and you think, there's so many, like, this player's having a great Senior Bowl, this player's having a bad Senior Bowl. And it's rubbish really on social media. So I have watched as much as I can, and they're like 3,000-4,000 word articles. So if you want to check it out, I won't get everything right, but I promise you it's from a position of attempting to put the work in.
We're all aboard that. And I feel the same as you with the Senior Bowl, because it's a showcase. Having been in enough of these showcases as a young rugby player, it's absolutely fine for someone to turn up for a weekend, a tournament, and look electric. But then the rest of the season, they have been absolutely rubbish. But because they're on someone's radar for that one weekend, amazing.
Well, there's a great rep. I mean, I don't want to bang on about it too much and bore everybody. There's this great rep where they had like a one-on-one. They call it like a battle at the end, where they kind of a best of three, and they'll put like a linebacker against a tight end or something, and O-line, D-line, and everybody crowds around them. And there was an O-liner against the D-liner, and Curtis Allen, who writes for me, highlighted this. And the D-liner gets right in the chest of the O-liner. It was Jeremiah Wright at Auburn, I think. And he like drives him backwards for about 6 yards. And then the O-liner goes away celebrating because he didn't get around him. And I'm thinking, yeah, but in the game,
Yeah, you've been driven back into your quarterback's lap.
The quarterback's getting impacted there. He's off the spot. You're sat on his knee. Like, what's to celebrate here? And everyone, and the tweet that Curtis highlighted was the guy going, "What a rep by Jeremiah Wright. What an amazing shot." And I'm like, he didn't win that rep. But there's all sorts of stuff. There's a load of Senior Bowl stuff there. I'm going to do a bit more this weekend when the game takes place. I do think the game has some value, despite what people say. And then next week, we'll see. I'm going to try and do a stream most days, and we will see who we can get on to talk about things. Obviously, I will also have the Puck Sports, Bump and Stacey, Seahawks Collective. Everybody I do the Seahawks Collective with is going to be in Santa Clara, and there's going to be me sat here in Rotherham. So I think it's a disgrace that they haven't found a way to get me over there and do it live with them. But there we go. And just doing as much as I can. Like, I've booked next week off. I will get Monday out of the way because Monday's like transfer deadline with work. But then when I get home on Monday, I'll be like, right, Super Bowl time. So I just want people to know that if they subscribe to @Rob Football on YouTube and check out SeahawksRaplog.com, there will be stuff.
Good, obviously. Well, we'll have all the links down there in the description, so most people will follow you anyway. I'd assume. We just appreciate you coming on. I mean, we've obviously got this pod with you. We've got, hopefully, Vernon Kay will be coming on with us to talk Seahawks and a bit of American football. Mitch and I have got a head-to-head series that we're going to be doing next week, looking at the position groups and how they stack up. Just very short ones, just to sort of, as we've alluded to already, how they stack up and how we think they're going to look on the field. And then we've got the Super Bowl watch party at O'Neill's Broad Street in Birmingham with 12 Talk Podcast, members of our Discord community, and the UK Seahawkers. There's 45 currently, and I will be closing off anyone who wants to come from sort of Monday, Tuesday, so they can reserve us a nice big spot there. And then,
That sounds great. I mean, look, I
do you want to come?
The amazing thing is a lot of people have gone, hey, come to this and come to that. And I appreciate like every offer that I've had. But I genuinely think after all of this, I might end up just watching. I might just prefer to watch this alone.
Darkened room by yourself.
Behind the sofa.
I think it might be best. I'm not great company either, during these things. Like I tend to pace up and down for the whole game. And then I might sit down and something good happens, so then I have to stay. And if you said to me, "Are you superstitious?" I'd say no, but obviously I do act very superstitious during the game. And then, and if they win, it can be quite embarrassing the way that I celebrate. So I don't do anything that weird, but
you stay at home, Rob. It's all right. We'll check in on you after the Super Bowl.
I mean, I'll probably have a sore throat like yourself. Yeah.
That's absolutely fine. You're allowed to. But I just want to say massive thanks to you, Mitch. Always a pleasure to be on the pod with you, my podcasting partner in crime. We will be back all throughout pre-Super Bowl week, and make sure you tune into everything Rob's doing. Make sure you like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Thank you very much for joining. And I'm just going to end this with a turn up to 12 and go Hawks.